The message came on a Tuesday. A normal day turned historic in seconds. Scientists at the Global Space Communication Center in Nevada stared at their screens in disbelief. The signal was unmistakably artificial and definitely not from Earth. Commander Jack Ryan was eating breakfast when his phone rang. Within hours, he was on a military transport plane heading to Nevada. As the Navy's top expert in communication protocols, he was the natural choice to lead the response team. "We've translated portions of it," Dr. Olivia Bennett told him as they walked through the facility. Her eyes were bright with excitement, despite not having slept for 30 hours. "It's an invitation. They want to meet us." 3 months later, the Earth ship Horizon left our solar system, carrying humanity's first delegation to the stars. Commander Ryan stood on the bridge, watching the blue dot of Earth disappear behind them. "Nervous?" Olivia asked, joining him by the viewport. "Wouldn't you be?" he replied. "We're about to meet aliens who are hundreds, maybe thousands of years ahead of us." The rendezvous point was just beyond Jupiter's orbit. The alien ship appeared suddenly. Massive, elegant, and clearly built by minds with different ideas about design. It dwarfed the Horizon, making their most advanced ship look like a toy. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Concordat, a coalition of 27 spacefaring species who had been watching Earth for decades. Their representatives were diverse, some with multiple limbs, others with skin that changed colors as they spoke, and a few that hardly looked alive at all. Their leader was Ambassador Vextal, a tall being with silvery skin and 4 arms. "Humans," he said through a translation device, "you are welcome to the greater community of space. We have much to teach you." The first meetings went well. The aliens shared limited knowledge and seemed curious about humans. But Jack noticed something odd in their behavior. "They look at us like we're children," he told Olivia in private. "Did you see how they laughed when I asked about their defense systems?" "They're stronger than us," Olivia said, showing Jack data they'd been given. "Most Concordat species can lift 3 times what we can. Some can survive in vacuum for short periods. We're physically weaker than almost every species they've encountered." Days passed with more meetings and exchanges. The humans tried to remain diplomatic despite growing feelings of being patronized. Then came the incident. During a cultural exchange, one of the alien species, a reptilian called a Drax, grabbed Olivia's arm when she reached for a shared artifact. His grip was tight enough to bruise. "Let her go," Jack said calmly at first. The Drax ignored him, examining Olivia like a curious specimen. "I said let her go." Jack's voice changed. The room fell silent as the aliens turned to stare at him. The Drax released Olivia's arm, but kept its eyes on Jack with new interest. "Your face changed," it said. "Your vital signs spiked." Fascinating response. Later, Jack overheard 2 aliens discussing the event. "They produce unique chemicals when threatened," one said. "Did you see the blood flow increase? The pupil dilation?" "Yes," the rage response. "No other species shows this intensity. It could be problematic if they advance further, or useful if controlled." Jack reported everything to Earth. The alien attitude troubled him, but the technology they offered was too valuable to walk away. What he didn't know was that Concordat scientists had begun collecting data on human emotional responses, particularly focusing on what happened when humans got angry. They conducted subtle tests, creating minor frustrations for the human delegation and measuring their reactions. As the Horizon prepared to return to Earth with the first formal treaty between humans and aliens, Ambassador Vextal made a curious entry in his private log. "Humans, physically underwhelming but emotionally volatile in ways we've never seen. Their capacity for rage when threatened exceeds any known species. This requires further study before they develop further. They could become either valuable allies or the greatest threat the Concordat has ever faced." The universe had many terrors and wonders, but it was about to learn that nothing was quite like humans when they were angry. 3 years passed since first contact. Humans, and the Concordat shared technology, culture, and established outposts in each other's territories. Earth had built its first mining colony on Europa, Jupiter's moon. The ice world provided rare minerals that both humans and aliens valued. Alan Garcia supervised the Europa colony. He was checking pressure seals when alarms blared through the base. "Sir, unidentified ships approaching." His assistant called over the radio. "They're not responding to hails." Alan rushed to the command center. The screens showed 5 vessels unlike any Concordat design he knew. They moved with purpose toward the colony. "Send emergency signals to Earth and the Concordat outpost near Saturn," Alan ordered. His hands moved quickly across the controls. "All personnel to emergency stations." The message barely sent before the first blast hit. The colony shook. Pipes burst and alarms screamed louder. "They're landing troops," someone shouted. Through the viewport, Alan saw armored figures emerging from the ships. They were tall with ridged skin and weapons that glowed purple. "Vrexians," whispered the Concordat liaison officer. "They're outside the Concordat. Warriors who take what they want." The colony's small security team fought bravely. It wasn't enough. The Vrexians moved through their defenses like they were nothing. Ellen sent one final message. "Europa colony under attack by Vrexian forces. Heavy casualties. Send help immediately." Then the communications center exploded. Lieutenant Sofia Martinez received the distress call aboard the U.S. Defiance. As the closest military vessel, they responded at once. 3 other human ships joined them, forming a small rescue fleet. "My brother works on Europa," Sofia told her second officer. "He's a water systems engineer." Her voice was tight but professional. The human ships arrived 16 hours later. Europa's surface showed dark scars where the colony had been. Vrexian ships still orbited the moon. This was a test, Sofia realized. They wanted to see how we would respond. She ordered her ships to form a defensive pattern. The Vrexians didn't wait. Their ships, more advanced and numerous, moved to surround the human fleet. The battle began. The Defiance rocked with impacts. Shields failed on 2 human vessels. The situation looked hopeless. "Captain, we've lost the Montgomery," an officer reported. "The Vrexians are boarding the Saratoga." "Get me visual," Sofia demanded. The screen showed Vrexian troops entering the Saratoga. Among the human bodies floating in the breached section, Sofia recognized a face, her brother. Something changed in Sofia's eyes. Her breathing slowed. Her hands stopped shaking. When she spoke, her voice was ice. "Target their lead ship's engine section. Direct all power to forward weapons. Prepare for ramming speed." "Lieutenant, that's suicide," her second officer protested. Sofia didn't answer. Her focus was absolute. The crew fell silent, feeling something primitive and terrifying emanate from their commander. The Defiance shot forward like a bullet. The Vrexians, not expecting this tactic, reacted too slowly. The human ship's reinforced bow smashed through the alien vessel's shields and tore into its side. "All weapons fire. Target their fuel cells," Sofia ordered as they pulled away, the enemy ship now crippled. The remaining human ships followed her lead, abandoning conventional tactics for aggressive, almost suicidal maneuvers. The Vrexians, despite their superior technology, couldn't predict or counter the humans' reckless attacks. 3 hours later, the battle ended. 2 human ships destroyed, the others badly damaged. But 7 Vrexian vessels were destroyed or disabled. The survivors retreated, leaving behind their boarding parties. Sofia led the team that cleared the Saratoga. She moved through the ship with cold efficiency, her rage focused into deadly precision. The Vrexians who encountered her didn't live to report what they saw. Later, in her private quarters, she finally allowed herself to cry for her brother. On the Vrexian command ship, retreating to their territory, the Supreme Commander reviewed battle footage with growing concern. "These humans," he said to his officers, "when we killed their people, they changed. They fought like nothing I've seen before. not for glory or conquest, but with something darker. Just primitive emotional responses, his science officer suggested. No, the commander replied. I've fought 30 species across 2 galaxies. This was different. When that female saw her dead kin, she became something else. Something that didn't care about surviving, only about making us pay. He stared at the image of the Defiance, it tall, scorched, but victorious. We must learn more about human rage before we face them again. Dr. Zinfar moved his 4 slender arms in excitement as he studied the brain scans. The Concordet's leading xenobiologist had never seen readings like these. After the Europa incident, the Council had given him permission to study human emotional responses more deeply. Look at this spike in their limbic system, he told his assistant. When humans feel rage, their brains produce chemicals no other species does. Across the lab, human scientist Dr. Kate Williams pretended not to hear. She had been invited to join the research team 6 months ago. The Concordat claimed they wanted to understand human biology better. Kate now suspected other reasons. The council meeting starts soon, Kate's Concordat partner reminded her. We need to prepare our presentation. The High Council chamber was enormous. 27 species were represented, all watching as Dr. Zinfar presented his findings. In conclusion, the alien scientist said, humans experience emotional states with intensity that exceeds all documented species. Their rage response is particularly notable, temporarily enhancing strength, reaction time, and pain tolerance while reducing fear. The council members murmured among themselves. Kate noticed the concern in their voices. Council leader Vextal spoke. And your recommendation, Doctor? Observation and containment. Zinfar replied immediately. Humans are advancing quickly. Their emotional volatility combined with advanced technology could destabilize the galactic balance. Kate kept her face neutral. Inside, anger built. She had trusted these aliens, believed in cooperation. Now she understood they feared humanity's potential. After the meeting, Kate accessed the research database. Her credentials as part of Zinfar's team gave her wide access. She searched deeper than she ever had before. What she found shocked her. The Concordat had been debating the human problem since first contact. They feared humans would eventually surpass them. The Europa incident had only confirmed their concerns. Emergency containment protocols, one document read. It detailed plans to limit human expansion, restrict their technology, and, if necessary, neutralize Earth. Kate copied everything she could find. She needed to warn Earth. That night, she met with Paul Johnson, a human engineer working on the station. They're afraid of us, she told him, showing him the files. Paul wasn't surprised. I've noticed how they restrict our access to certain technologies. I've been working on something in secret. He showed her diagrams for shield technology specifically designed to counter Concordat weapons. How did you develop this? Kate asked. I watched. I learned. I improved. Paul smiled grimly. They think we're just emotional creatures. They forget we can also think. 2 days later, Kate sent her findings through a secure channel to Earth. The encrypted message contained everything: the research on human rage, the Council's plans, and Paul's defensive designs. Hours after sending the message, Kate was summoned to Zinfar's office. An interesting discovery today, the alien said, too calmly. Someone accessed restricted files and transmitted data outside our network. Kate maintained her composure. That's concerning. Was anything important taken? Zinfar's upper eyes narrowed. You know, Dr. Williams, I studied your species closely. Your physiological responses when lying are quite distinctive. Kate felt her heart rate increasing. She forced herself to stay calm. Is there something you're accusing me of, Doctor? Not accusing, Zinfar said. Observing. Like how I observed that human rage has an interesting quality. It can be hot and explosive, but also cold and calculating. He leaned closer. Which type are you feeling right now, I wonder? Security officers entered the room. Kate noticed they were armed. "The Council has ordered a full investigation," Zinfar continued. "All human personnel are being temporarily detained." Kate looked at the guards, then back at Zinfar. Her mind raced through options. She could feel that familiar heat building inside her, the very rage response they had been studying. But she controlled it, channeled it. If her message reached Earth, humans would be prepared for whatever came next. "You've studied us so carefully," Kate said with remarkable steadiness. "But you still don't understand. Human rage isn't just a reaction. Sometimes it's a promise." Across the station, Paul and other humans were also being detained, but their work was already done. Designs had been sent, warnings delivered. On Earth, military leaders stared at Kate's message with growing alarm. Preparations began quietly but quickly. The universe was about to learn another lesson about humans. They don't just get angry. They get even. 6 months after Kate's warning reached Earth, the Concordat made their move. They offered humans their most generous technology exchange yet. The package included faster-than-light drives, advanced medicine, and defensive systems. In exchange, Ambassador Vextal explained to the United Earth Council, "We request permission to establish research bases on Mars." The council members nodded politely. None showed that they knew the truth. Earth's intelligence agencies had thoroughly analyzed Kate's data. They understood what the Concordat really wanted: a foothold to monitor and potentially contain humanity. "We need time to consider this generous offer," said Council President Dias. "We'll reconvene in 1 week." Security Officer Daniel Clark stood guard during these meetings. When not on duty, he lived with his wife Lisa in their small apartment near the Geneva complex. Lisa worked in communications, managing transmissions between Earth and the growing number of human outposts in space. On Tuesday night, Daniel came home late. His face was tight with worry. "What's wrong?" Lisa asked, setting aside her tablet. Daniel checked that their apartment security system was active before speaking. "I was assigned to guard a secure room today. Council members were reviewing the Concordat proposal." And Lisa could tell something had happened. The door was left open a crack. "I heard them discussing hidden provisions in the agreement. The Concordat included protocols for emergency containment of Earth." Lisa's eyes widened. "Containment? You mean they want bases on Mars so they can quickly strike if humans become too problematic?" Daniel ran a hand through his hair. "There's more. I accessed the full document after everyone left. There are sections our translators missed, written in a technical dialect. It allows them to take control of any technology they give us." Lisa stood up, her training kicking in. "We need to alert the Council immediately." "They already know," Daniel said. "They're planning to sign anyway and secretly prepare for a potential conflict. They think we need to buy time. But if the Concordat realizes we know—" A soft beep from their security system interrupted her. Someone was trying to override their door locks. Daniel moved quickly, grabbing his service weapon. "They must have tracked my access to the documents. Lisa, take this." He handed her a small data drive. "It contains everything I found, plus evidence of similar agreements they've made with other species." The door's locks began to disengage one by one. "Get to the emergency shuttle bay," Daniel continued. "Use authorization code Delta 9. Get this to Admiral Rodriguez at the Jupiter station." Lisa clutched the drive. "Come with me." Daniel shook his head. "They'll follow. I'll hold them here." His eyes met hers. "I love you. Now go." Lisa slipped out through their emergency exit as the main door burst open. 4 Concordat security officers entered, weapons raised. "Officer Clark," the lead alien said, "you accessed restricted information. You will come with us for questioning." Daniel raised his weapon. "I don't think so." What followed would later become legend. A single human officer against 4 elite Concordat agents. Daniel fought with everything he had. Not just skill and training, but with that uniquely human capacity for rage when protecting loved ones. 2 agents died before they subdued him. Even then, beaten and bleeding, Daniel laughed. "What amuses you, human?" asked the surviving agent. "You're too late," Daniel said through bloody teeth. "She's already gone." The Concordat locked down all Earth transportation. But they were indeed too late. Lissa Clark had already launched, the precious data secure. She transmitted a final message to Daniel's personal channel. "I made it. I love you." Daniel never responded. 3 days later, Lissa reached Jupiter Station. The data she carried showed the Concordat's true intentions to dozens of species. Admiral Ellen Rodriguez reviewed the evidence and made the hardest call of her career. Send to all human settlements and ships. Diplomatic relations with the Concordat are severed. All personnel are to return to human space immediately. We are now at war. The message Daniel recorded before his death was attached to this announcement. His face, bruised but defiant, showed the galaxy what one human's rage could accomplish, and what an entire species might do when betrayed. Admiral Ellen Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Vengeance. Around her, crew members worked with quiet focus. The ship was the newest in Earth's fleet, built with technology Earth had developed by studying Concordat designs. "Status report," Ellen ordered. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her second-in-command replied. "The Arteri and Novan vessels have taken position on our flanks." Ellen nodded. In the months since the betrayal, Earth had moved quickly. Lissa Clark's evidence had been shared with other species who felt threatened by the Concordat. The Arteri, with their crystal ships, and the Novans, experts in stealth technology, had been eager to join forces. Most surprising were the Phyrexians. After their defeat at Europa, they had studied humans carefully. When Earth representatives approached them with an alliance offer, the warrior species had agreed immediately. "Humans understand true battle," the Phyrexian war leader had told Ellen. "You fight not for land or resources, but with something deeper. We respect this." Now, an unprecedented coalition fleet gathered at the edge of Concordat space. Over 200 ships from 4 species, united by their fear of Concordat dominance. "Open channel to all vessels," Ellen said. When the communications officer nodded, she spoke clearly. "This is Admiral Rodriguez. Today we show the Concordat that they cannot manipulate and control other species without consequences. Remember those we've lost. Fight with discipline, but don't forget your anger. It is our strength." She paused, thinking of Daniel Clark and the others who had died, revealing the truth. Commence Operation Reckoning. The coalition fleet moved forward, splitting into 3 attack groups. Each targeted a different Concordat outpost system. Earth vessels took the lead, with alien ships providing support. On the planet Dexfor, a major Concordat research facility, Dr. Zenfar watched the approaching ships with a mixture of fear and fascination. Since studying human rage, he had warned the Council repeatedly that underestimating humans was dangerous. "They've brought allies," he told the facility commander. "The Phyrexians are with them." The commander scoffed. "Our defenses will hold." The Council has sent reinforcements. The first human ships reached firing range. They attacked with an intensity that shocked even Zenfar. The tactics were unlike anything in Concordat military records. Some ships made suicide runs to break through defensive lines. Others targeted communication arrays rather than weapons. On the Vengeance, Ellen watched the battle unfold. She had studied human military history extensively. Guerrilla warfare, blitzkrieg tactics, asymmetric approaches. The Concordat, with its reliance on superior technology and overwhelming force, had no answer for these ancient human strategies. "They're breaking, Admiral," her tactical officer reported. "Their central command structure can't adapt fast enough." Ellen nodded. "Press the advantage. All ships, advance." In the weeks before the attack, human military trainers had worked with their alien allies. They didn't just teach tactics. They taught controlled rage. "Feel the anger," Marine Sergeant Gary Woods had told his Arteri trainees, "but don't let it control you." channel it, direct it. The aliens had been doubtful at first. Their species evolved to suppress strong emotions. But they learned. And now, fighting alongside humans, they tapped into something their species had buried long ago. The battle for Dexthor lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the coalition forces stood victorious. The facility was captured largely intact, with minimal civilian casualties. Dr. Zinfar was among those taken prisoner. Ellen personally interrogated the xenobiologist. "You studied us," she said. "Did you learn nothing?" Zinfar's forearms moved nervously. "I learned everything. I warned the Council that human rage, properly channeled, was unlike anything in the galaxy. They wouldn't listen." Ellen leaned closer. "And now?" "Now the galaxy will learn what I already know," Zinfar replied. "The universe feared no one until they understood human rage." Similar victories occurred across Concordat space. The coalition, led by humanity's controlled fury, achieved what no one thought possible. The Concordat Council met in emergency session. Their perfect order was crumbling. "We must respond decisively," declared Council Leader Vextal. "Target their homeworld. Show these humans the consequence of defiance." Captain Steve Morris watched Earth burn from orbit. The Concordat attack had come without warning. Their ships appeared near the moon, bypassing Earth's early detection systems. Before the defense fleet could respond, devastation rained down on major cities. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, all gone in minutes. Steve had grown up in Chicago. Now he stared at the smoking crater where his hometown had been. His family, friends, everything he knew, erased. "Captain, we have orders to fall back to Mars," his communications officer said quietly. Steve didn't respond immediately. Something cold and terrible was building inside him. A rage so pure it felt like ice in his veins. "Captain, we need to retreat." "No," Steve said. His voice sounded strange, even to himself. "We don't retreat. Not now." He opened a channel to the other 7 ships in his battle group. "This is Captain Morris. I'm looking at what remains of Earth. Our homes. Our families." He paused, fighting for control. "The Concordat believes this will break us. They're wrong. This will unleash us." Across human space, similar scenes played out. The death toll on Earth reached billions. The survivors called for vengeance. The human fleet, though scattered, responded with a single purpose. Admiral Rodriguez, returning from the Dexthor victory, received the news with cold fury. "All ships, maximum speed to Sol system," she ordered. "Alert our coalition allies." The Concordat fleet remained in Earth orbit, expecting human forces to surrender or scatter. They didn't understand what they had done. The first wave of human ships didn't attack conventionally. They didn't hail the enemy or demand surrender. They simply accelerated to maximum speed and aimed for the largest Concordat vessels. One by one, human captains transmitted final messages before impact. "For Chicago. For my daughter in Sydney. For Earth." Each collision destroyed both ships but inflicted massive damage on the Concordat fleet. The aliens had never encountered such tactics. Their battle doctrines had no defense against an enemy willing to die just to hurt them. Captain Morris led what remained of his battle group against the Concordat flagship. "All weapons, target their bridge," he commanded. "Then prepare for ramming speed." His crew worked without question. The same cold rage that filled Steve had taken hold of them all. The Concordat admiral watched in horror as the human ships tore into his fleet with suicidal determination. "They're mad," he told his second. "No species fights like this." When Morris's ship hit the flagship's side, the explosion was visible from Mars. On the Artari homeworld, news of Earth's devastation spread quickly. The crystal beings had just celebrated their new alliance with humans. Now they gathered in silence as Concordat ships appeared in their skies. "They seek to punish us for helping the humans," the Artari High Speaker told his people. "But they do not understand. We have learned from our human friends. When the Concordat forces landed, expecting easy submission, they found something unexpected. The normally peaceful Artillery fought with a new ferocity. They had learned human rage. Back on Earth's moon base, Dr. Kate Williams had survived the attack. For months, she had continued her research in secret, studying the neurochemistry of human rage. Now, with Earth in flames, her work took on new urgency. "The tests are ready," she told Admiral Rodriguez over a secure channel. "We can enhance the rage response, make it controllable, direct it." "Any side effects?" Rodriguez asked. "Many," Kate admitted. "But does it matter now?" Rodriguez looked at the reports of Earth's destruction. "No, it doesn't." "Proceed." The first volunteers were Marines who had lost everything in the attack. They called themselves the Rage Brigade. The enhancement process was painful, dangerous, and irreversible. None of them cared. When they emerged, they were still human, but changed. Their eyes held something that made even hardened soldiers step back. "Send them to the Concordat leadership world," Rodriguez ordered. "Show them what human rage truly means." As the transport carrying the Rage Brigade departed for the heart of Concordat space, news arrived that the Phyrexians had defeated a Concordat fleet twice their size. The warrior species had adopted human battle tactics with devastating effect. The galaxy watched in awe and terror as humanity's fury spread like fire among the stars. The message was clear: attack us, and you awaken something beyond your understanding. 3 years of war changed the galaxy forever. The Concordat, once the undisputed power among the stars, now fought for survival. Their elegant ships were battered, their colonies burned, their certainty shattered. In a small meeting room on a neutral planet, representatives gathered. The room was simple, with a round table and plain chairs. No weapons were allowed inside. Admiral Ellen Rodriguez entered first, wearing her formal uniform despite the scars on her face. She had led humanity through its darkest time. Now she might lead them to peace. Behind her walked Lisa Clark, widow of Daniel Clark, the man whose sacrifice had revealed the Concordat's true plans years ago. In her arms, she carried her young son, Ben. The boy was 3 years old, born during the war, with curious eyes that looked around the alien room without fear. The Concordat delegation arrived next. Council leader Vextal looked older, his silver skin dulled by stress. 2 other council members followed, their movements cautious. "Admiral Rodriguez," Vextal said with a small bow, "we appreciate this opportunity to speak directly." Ellen nodded but said nothing. Her room filled with other representatives: Artillery, Novan, Phyrexian, and more species who had joined the fight against Concordat control. When all were seated, Ellen spoke. "The Concordat has requested this meeting to discuss terms for ending the conflict." Vextal's 4 hands moved in a formal gesture. "The war has brought suffering to all our peoples. We seek an end to the bloodshed." "You started this war," said the Phyrexian war leader. "You attacked Earth without warning." "And we have paid for that mistake," Vextal replied. His voice carried genuine regret. "Half our worlds lie in ruins. Our economy has collapsed. We cannot continue." Ellen studied him. "What terms do you propose?" Vextal outlined the Concordat's offer: withdrawal from disputed territories, reparations for Earth, technology exchanges without hidden controls, and a new galactic council where all species would have equal voice. As negotiations continued, little Ben Clark grew restless. Lisa tried to quiet him, but the boy squirmed and began to cry. The room fell silent. Some aliens looked uncomfortable at the child's distress. To everyone's surprise, Vextal rose and approached Lisa. "May I?" he asked, extending his lower hands. Lisa hesitated, then allowed the alien to take her son. Vextal held Ben gently, speaking soft words in his own language. Gradually, the boy calmed, fascinated by the alien's 4 arms and silver skin. "I lost my own children in the attack on Nexus Prime," Vextal said quietly. The human rage Marines were thorough. Ellen watched this exchange with new understanding. You fear us, she said. Not just our rage, but what comes after. Vextal handed Ben back to Lisa. Yes, your species can feel fury beyond anything we comprehend. You can hate with perfect focus, but then... He gestured to the child. Then you can love again. Forgive. Rebuild. Most species can do one or the other. Yours can do both. The negotiations lasted 3 days. When they finished, a new treaty was signed. The galaxy would be governed by cooperation, not dominance. Earth would rebuild, with help from former enemies. 6 months later, on reclaimed Mars, a memorial was dedicated to those lost in the war. Ellen stood with Lisa and Ben before the central monument. What do the words mean? Ben asked, pointing to the inscription. Ellen knelt beside him. The universe feared no one. Until they understood human rage. Then they learned to value human mercy. Lisa squeezed her son's hand. Your father helped teach them that lesson. Across the memorial park, human children played with young Arteri, Novans, and even Concordat offspring. Former enemies watched together, learning to trust again. Dr. Kate Williams, now head of interspecies relations, joined Ellen. The Vrexians are proposing a joint military academy, she said. They want to study our tactical approaches. Ellen nodded. Approve it. But make sure they understand we teach more than just how to fight. As the sun set over the Martian colony, Ben Clark ran laughing with his alien friends. He was too young to remember the war. He would grow up in a galaxy that had learned its lesson about humanity, a species capable of both terrible rage and remarkable forgiveness. The universe had feared human rage. Now it depended on human hope.